Well, good evening and welcome to the last tackle. We thought we'd do something just a little bit different this week. So we've got out of the studio and we've come down to Regent Park Golf Club in Bolton to see the Leigh Leopards, and I'm joined now by their head coach, Adrian Lam. Lammy third in the table, 80 minutes away from Wembley. A pretty good place to be at the moment.
Yeah, it's a nice position to be in at this stage of the season. We're over that halfway mark, so things are going good at the moment, it seems, and been around a long time, so we've just got to make sure we keep our feet grounded, as I keep saying, and keep working hard.
Talk about that semi-final briefly. Obviously, Sunday, a real dogfight against York. They were never going to make it easy for you, but you had a real tough 80-minute performance to put in, didn't you?
Yeah, it was, and you get that every now and then, and going away to play a championship club, and I think that's probably the best I would have played all season as well, and we anticipated that, but, we didn't get the start that we wanted. A lot of errors, uncharacteristic performance from us, one sent off, one in the sin bin, so, twice in the last 3 weeks down to 11 men. At some stage of the game, played 76 minutes with 12 players, so when you're doing that, it's going to be a tough day. So I'm just proud of the boys for hanging in there, plenty of courage and character, and got the win to progress us through to the semi-final now, so it's a position that the club are very grateful for.
And obviously, you've not got to Wembley yet, you've not won anything yet, but as a newly promoted side especially, how much of a feather in your cap is it to be competing in those semi-final games and where you are in the table?
Yeah, I guess at the start of the year, if you were to say, 15 rounds into the Super League competition, you'd be in third spot and 80 minutes away from Wembley, we would have taken that, with open arms. But like I said, we worked really hard to be in this position. We've certainly earned the right to do it, and I think that's 9 wins in a row now, which is something special, not only for our club, but in Super League as well for both competitions. So, it's going to get hard from this part into, and we understand that, but I guess it's part of the progression as a club. I think we've got a lot of experience within the group. There are 15 new faces come in this year from last year, so we've had to work really hard on that, and just the tightness of the group, I think, is the key behind the success so far.
You mentioned that experience in the group. You obviously brought in some really exciting talent that you had in the Championship. You've recruited smartly on top of that with players that have been there and done it in Super League. How important was it to get that balance right of players that have been part of your group for a while now, but also just adding quality and experience where
it's the key, really. We're also, we've got a big plan in place for years to come, and try to bring in some youth and a style of play that we feel fits our club. So we're forever working on a day-to-day basis on how we develop the club with recruitment and retention as well. So it's important, just as important for us to hold on to the players that we feel is going to help develop this club moving forward. And it's something that we're going to continue to do, whether it's this year or next year. It's we're going to keep adding to the squad. I think we've got the smallest squad in Super League, so we wanted to be patient to make sure the right person come into the group, and I think we've done a really good job with that, and we just got to keep maintaining that. It's a real key part of success in any sport is the way that you recruit and keep building your side. So, luckily we've got an owner there in Derek Beaumont that's very passionate about that, working really closely with Chris Chester and Neil Jukes to make sure we get the right people in here, and we're always on the front foot with that, looking on how to improve.
Well, we're down at Regent Park Golf Club. You've done a bit of an active recovery session with the team this morning. They've been out on the short course. There seems to be a really good kind of spirit and team unity. How much is kind of getting out and doing things away from the training ground a little bit different? Part of that.
For me, the philosophy around it is to try and keep variations in there, and for that training off site, I think is good for the group, especially this time of the season. You get in the monotony of training at the same place every week, and I'm a big fan of routine as well, but I think when we get away for times like this, in the background there, the players are having breakfast together, and it's more of a down day on a short week. So we try to change up and get the variety into our training, but more importantly, it's the players spending time together in a closed environment, a little bit of fun, tick over the flush session and recovery ice bars and things like that, and it just adds to the group again being in a slightly different place, and like I said, the variety.
You'll have set goals internally amongst your group at the beginning of the season. Given the success that you've had, do you get to a point where you reassess, or are you very much just on the course that you were on?
No, we reassess all the time. We have a long-term goal, medium-term goals, and then the short-term goals and the week-to-week sort of standards and focus on certain areas. And I think the players are bought into that really well. I've got a really strong leadership group there that help deliver and maintain the standards, which, a big word for me is accountability, and the way that we hold the players accountable to all of our actions, and I think that helps as you go along. But certainly for me, this is my only second year here, and just trying to create a culture here that's top two of Super League or any sport by implementing those standards. So it's ongoing, and with so many turning over of players, you've got to keep maintaining that. But the key to it, in my beliefs, to have that strong leadership group to help deliver those standards throughout each day and each week.
How much would it mean if you could get this club to Wembley?
Oh, it'd be everything. I got goosebumps just saying that, because it's to think that we're in a position to potentially do that is special in itself, let alone going and playing the game. So, I'm looking forward to that. There's a little bit of rugby in between now and then to that semi-final, and we do have a small squad, and we've just got to make sure we manage the squad through this period here and get to the semi-final against Saints, albeit the best team in the world at the moment, and give ourselves an opportunity in that 80-minute period. So we're looking forward to that, but like I said, we'll keep our feet grounded and keep working hard until that time comes.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us, Adrian. As we mentioned, we're down at a golf course, so we went out with a few of the players on the short course over the road to see if any of them are putting their hand up for a few of those big tournaments that are on the way. We're at Regent Park Golf Course. We've been out on the short course with the Leigh Leopards, seeing how the lads are getting on. I'm joined now by Zach Hardacre and Josh Charnley. And Josh, I saw you on social media in the week saying that you were looking to take up golf and getting some lessons, but you stuck with foot golf there.
Yeah, I don't want to embarrass myself a little bit too much, but yeah, I played a bit of foot golf. I'm taking up golf. Fishing at the minute is too hot. Fish are spawning, so I need another hobby to get me out of the house.
It seems, we had a wander around view up there, it seems like a really good kind of culture and group. Zach, is it a really good vibe around the club at the moment?
Yeah, really good, mate. It's been great since I first joined. When I first joined, obviously Josh was here for the back end of last year, but just the camaraderie of the full club really that I first came into, it hit me like a brick wall really. So it's just like carried on from there, and then all the new lads have gelled really well. And look, we've worked really hard to get to where we are, and we're just, like I say, we're all enjoying each other's company, and just things like this today, and family barbecues, and just getting together and making the most of it, and hopefully a special first year for Leigh, which is we all want to be a part of.
You've both obviously been there and done it in Betfred Super League, but a different challenge, I guess, coming into a club looking to establish themselves within the division rather than challenging for those top honours straight away. How have you found that coming into a club that's a real development project?
Yeah, we're all backing what Derek's put forward. Derek and Lam have got a plan, and we're all a part of that. And we're, like I say, we started off well. We've got ambitions to do well, and a lot of people spoke about us coming up and going down. But the talent that we've got in this team and what we've recruited is massive. So I say on the back of what Zach's saying, that the togetherness that we've got here is probably the best I've ever been involved with. So yeah, we're like I said, the club's building well. It's doing well on and off the field. So yeah, it's a good business for Derek to have.
And 80 minutes away from Wembley, Zach, how much would it mean to this group and club if you could get there?
Yeah, massive. Obviously, we played a tough game yesterday at York, and some lads were a bit depleted of the performance really, because we've been playing really well for the last few weeks. But I just spoke to him and I said, look, I've been playing, 14, 15 years. I've been in 3 finals, which I'm very fortunate to be in, and a couple of semi-finals, and they don't come around that often. So just tried to pick the boys up a little bit. But yeah, like we've both been there. It's just got to take the opportunity when it comes. So to have an 80-minute good performance away from being at Wembley is absolutely brilliant. From what everyone was trying to say at the start of the year, saying we're going to be struggling for staying in the league, to how we're going now, and like say 80 minutes away is it's just a big pat on the back from the players and the coaches and the fans as well. The fans have been absolutely terrific. I think we brought over 11,000 yesterday on Father's Day on a Sunday. So everything's going really well at the minute, and we're going to keep our feet grounded, keep working hard like we've been doing for the last few weeks, and yeah, we'll see how we go against Saints.
And individually, you especially, Josh, your try-scoring form is some of the best of your career. How is that a product of this environment?
Yeah, the way that the left edge are going, you know, it's the way we're playing. It's massive, and you know, I'm just getting lucky enough to be at the back of it, and you know, getting across the whitewash. But yeah, the full team performance, you know, we are I think a tricky side to play against, and you know, I'm just lucky enough to, you know, be at the end of the pass and get over the whitewash.
For all the talk about the rebrand and all of that off-field talk at the beginning of the season, Zach, just seems so settled and kind of almost low-key the way that you are as a playing group.
Yeah, obviously it was you know, Derek loves anything that's publicised, whether it's good or bad, Derek absolutely loves. So the rebrand is, you know, as you probably can tell, he's very passionate about that. And you know, it took us by surprise the first few weeks, but then you know, we got the kit and it was like, look, it's a kit, we get on with it. And as the weeks progressed, and you know, we started winning some games, you saw more fans wearing Leigh Leopards stuff, and it just started taking off. And yeah, us as a club and us as a playing group, we've just let the outside noise do the talking, and we've just been working hard in training, and then going out and what hopefully you've just seen from the first half of the season is just the commitment between each other, how we want to win and play for each other, whether we win or lose or draw. You know, the coaching staff are proud of what we've been giving out in training and in matches, so it's just been great to be a part of. And yeah, we're just going to ride the wave. Obviously it's a roller coaster every year, you know, I've always been a part of those ones, and at the minute we're on the way up, so we just need to stay consistent and yeah, just keep working hard for each other.
We're going to catch up with Derek shortly, but in some ways, Josh, does it make it easier for you guys to just get on with your job slightly under the radar when you've got someone like Derek at the club who's happy to take the headlines and happy to be the focal point, just let you guys crack on?
Yeah, he does. He's not putting any much pressure on us. You know, we're just happy enough to, you know, be in day out. We're training hard. Like I say, our training days are tough, but you know, we do get to come away to places like this, you know, and get away from them situations where we're at training. It's, you know, repetitive stuff, but then you get to come places like here, which refreshes the body and mind, and you know, we're away from training. It's good. It's like I say, the stuff that we have in our team. Like I say, I spoke about it then, like the mateships that we've got. There's no little cliques. Everyone has banter. There's no people who we don't like in the team. So it's a good environment to be at.
Well, just lastly, I'll come to you on this one, Zach. When you guys obviously third in the table, but when you look at that first all the way down to almost 9th, 10th, it's so condensed, it's so competitive, probably the most competitive we've ever seen it. It must be quite a lot of fun to be playing in a league like that.
It is, yeah. Like we said, we've always said, I think internally we said, look, set sights at top 6, and how we're going now, you know, goals and things change in the year. I'm not going to say exactly what they're going to be now, but look, we just, like I say, we train harder each week. We go out in the game day and we give 100%. So if we win, it's absolutely brilliant. If it's a loss, but we've tried, we've seen the commitment and effort, then the staff, the fans, and then ourselves, even though we're disappointed, it's like, look, we've done kind of as a job, but we've not got there. But it just turns out that, you know, I think it's 9 from 9, and yeah, we're just going to keep building. But yeah, this group can be right up there. And like you say, with teams beating each other, it's just I don't know, if a joint second or third with about 3 teams or something like that. It's a bit of a mad season. Obviously, Warrington were high flyers, and now they've lost a couple. So it's just a season of total up and downs. But that's what I mean about our season as a whole. We knew there were going to be up and downs. On the minute, we're currently on a good high. So we just need to stay committed to each other and stay composed. And yeah, we'll see how we go.
Well, gents, thanks for joining us. Best of luck at the weekend and for the rest of the season. These lads are off to the south of France at the weekend to take on the Catalan Dragons. Right here on the Sportsman, live and exclusive, you can get free Betfred Wheelchair Super League games from midday Saturday afternoon.
You're watching the Sportsman Rugby League, the home of Betfred Super League Online.
Tune in to Last Tackle every Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
Well, we've heard from the head coach, we've heard from some of the stars of the show. Now to speak to the man responsible for the rise of the Leopards, Derek, third in the table, Challenge Cup semi-final. If I'd have offered you this at the beginning of the season, I'd imagine you'd bit my hand off.
I'd have ripped it off like a leopard would. It's great, isn't it? And next up's Catalan away, a few days in the sun. Don't get any better at the moment.
You've seen all of the ups and downs and turmoil of being the Leigh owner throughout the years. This must be probably the best period that you've had with the club.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I was saying to our guys and our fans that you've got to take these moments. You've got to ride with the eyes. We don't want to come across arrogant or anything like that. But it's not. I wouldn't say it's unexpected or surprising, but it's certainly welcomed. We recruited well. Chesney did a good job, and we went early last year and backed ourselves, which has put us in this position, and that's enabled us to go early again. And obviously, when you're in the top half of the table, it's easier to attract the top players and add to what you've got. So we're certainly enjoying the moment and making the most of it, because I've had a lot of low ones. Every experience in Super League that we've had has been, at the wrong end of it and scrapping. So it's buzzing. It's like walking on water at times.
You alluded to it a little bit there. It's probably worth mentioning this kind of particular leg of the journey almost started at the beginning of last season, didn't it? Because you did add to the squad this year, but a lot of the signings that have made a big difference, you guys had in the Championship last year as well.
Yeah, we ran a Super League side in the Championship. We always knew that, we would add to that and climb. It wasn't how we started in that competition, it was how we finished. The most important part of any club is recruitment. You need the players. It's the players that do the job. It's the players that have got to win the games. It's them that work hard and everything. So it's attracting them, and that's a big part of what we do at the club as well, with all the entertainment, etc., and the facilities and the way we make every game a big event. Because again, that's something that attracts players. So we're in it to win something, and that'll always take time. It's a process. So if something happens this year, well, wow, amazing. But if it doesn't, it's what we're building towards. So everything is not by chance. It's all been carefully planned, and it's all been carefully worked at from last year. And in that May time, it was a tough time, because at the end of the day, they've been exposed to like £2 million if we didn't get out of that division. And you can see over 80 minutes, like yesterday for example, in against York, it's one game of rugby. Someone gets sent off, someone gets sin-binned, you lose your momentum, and you can just find yourself coming unstuck, even though on paper everybody thinks you're going to win the game. So it was a big it was a calculated risk. It was one I could afford to take, but it was a case of, if I didn't do something different, then we'd just have what we've always had, which is go in Super League and come back out. So it was time for a change, and we're seeing the rewards from it.
Big piece of the puzzle was getting Adrian Lam to come down to the Championship after a few years in Super League with Wigan. How important has having him in that position been?
Well, for me, it's the most important signing this club's made. I'll put it as that, without a shadow of a doubt. And Chris Chester was instrumental in that. So I suppose really the process started there. Meeting Chris, I've always had a decent relationship with him. He's come to my club a few times while he was still coaching. And me and Jukesy went and met him over at Birch Surfaces, and he had an opportunity to go back coaching in Super League. And we was able to convince him, to come on this journey with us. And then, that was an important part for him with Adrian, because Adrian wasn't fixed on that at that particular point in time. And he kind of mentioned some players to Chesney that he thought could be useful to us and help us. I think Kayla Bacon's was one of those. And he saw from afar that we actually went about doing those things and recruited some of those people. And we were patient to try and get Adrian, because we knew how important that was. And Chesney was actually prepared to coach the team to start with, until we could get the right person, if that's what it took. And then Adrian saw that. He saw that we'd followed those actions through. He met up with myself, and he bought into my vision and how I run the club, and how I like these kind of fun events and doing things and rewarding the team, rewarding the players, and that I had ambition. When I said to him, listen, I've done it 3 times, it'll be the 4th. It's not about having a go in Super League or getting in Super League. It's about this time winning something. It's about replicating what we've done in 1921, 1971, 1981, 82 season, winning a championship. That's what I want, and I want to build a youth structure. I want it to be a bigger picture. And in the end, that was what got him. And he's for me, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to any other coaches I've had at the club, who've all done really well and worked hard, he's just different gravy. The players love him. He rewards them. He demands that they work hard, and he's ambitious himself. And together we're having a fabulous time. And there's a real connectivity at the club. It's DNA of it. It's like an onion. If you peel back the layers, you've got sort of Neil Dukes there as CEO. He's played for the club. He's coached the club for 10 years in and out of Super League. He knows the detail. You peel that back, you got Chesy. He's played at the highest level. He's coached for a long time at the highest level. He's coached in Challenge Cup Finals. He's played there. You peel that back, you got Adrian Lam, assistant Australian coach, Super League Coach of the Year, Grand Finals at Wigan, played at the highest level, quality. Underneath that, you got Tony Clubb, played at highest level, played for his country, working hard in coaching, really works hard on the detail in RD, which is evident in the results. And then, you peel that back, you've got PJ, played at Wigan, played for his country. You go to our physio, Mellin, played at Wigan, So everybody in there, Steve Maiden, played 200 games for the club, he's our welfare officer. So right the way through, everybody, if they've not played for Leigh, been connected to it, they're heavily connected in rugby and understand it. And I think that's what gels us together.
You talk about that journey and vision for winning things. How much easier is it to sell that dream to players when you're in the recruitment process, when you've got a team that's third in the table and 80 minutes away from a cup final?
Much easier, and Chesy will tell you that, because we've already pretty much, we've nailed some players that have not been announced yet because it's not the right thing to do. But the players that are young, good players that the top sides we're in for. We were competing with Wigan and Saints for players now, and in the past, whenever we've been sort of down at the bottom, it's too unstable. You know what I mean? So players are a little bit edgy and nervous, and they all want to win. There's not a long time for playing the game as a player, so they want to try and win things, and they see that. Players are coming up to me from other teams when we've played them at the end of the game and saying, "Wow, what an event! Loved being part of that. It was like being at a final," and that makes it easier for us to keep building, and sitting there in the top six enables you to, you're not saying, "Oh, this is what we're going to do." This is what we're doing.
Well, let's talk about the off-field stuff, because obviously you're flying on the field, but big rebrand at the beginning of this year. You took some flack for it at the time. How difficult was it finding the balance, doing something that you believe to be right for the club and innovative, but also protecting and maintaining the club's heritage and history at the same time?
Yeah, and that was the tough part of it. You nailed it right there. So, it wasn't just people think, oh, it's just a whim. It wasn't. It was carefully thought out, and I was a little bit reserved about it, if I'm honest, in the beginning. So it sat with me and Mike Latham and Jill and Karen and Neil for a while. We worked through it. We knew there would be a big reaction that might be negative, but I've always been somebody that has courage in my convictions, and I think just the timing of it was right, because you look at, I've always been somebody that in business and in life, I look at how I would perceive my business if I'm a competitor of it. If I had to go up against it, what would I look at that? How would I overcome what they do? And then that shows me my weaknesses, what people would use against me. And then that enables me to make it stronger. So I suppose really I kind of looked at, how would IMG look at Super League clubs and Championship? How would they look at the game, and what would they see Leigh Centurions as? And if they've got to pick 12 clubs for the game, and nobody knew how they was going to go about it at this time, and I thought, well, would they pick us? Actually, they wouldn't, would they? Why would they? Because you'd really say, which is the real deal there? Is it Wigan or is it Leigh? And because you've got close to each other, you've got a Warrior, you've got a Centurion, similar symbols, you've got the same colours, you've got the red and white stripes. People argue that we had them first, but it doesn't matter, because Wigan's arguably the biggest club historically in the game. So I just felt that we needed to look different than that. I always felt we've got a great facility that we can fill. I think that's insurmountable in football stadiums. So I always felt that if we got 10, 11,000 in our stadium, that looks better than 10, 11,000, 12,000 in a Super League club that's winning everything, and that's what they get. So they kind of maxed out a little bit. then we look better. So that was kind of really what did it. And then it was what you just said there. How do you balance that with keeping your history? And then that's where the kind of tear in the kit came that still shows the red and white underneath it, behind it. So the much anticipated website's about to come out this week, and you know, that shows all our history on there. It's a part of it. And in our club shop, we've got the old and rare stuff there, as well as the new stuff. But you've got to move with the times. We're not the first club to do it. I found out in that process we've been called the Bears, which I never knew about, you know. So the irony of it is the people we thought would be most offended, the older generation, was actually the least offended, because they just never really bought into Centurions anyway. They just saw it as Leigh. It was the younger people who'd only ever known it as Centurions that was like outraged by it all. But I think you see yourself now that pretty much everybody's on board and invested in it.
So why the leopard? Because they're not native to the area.
Well, you know, the old joke, innit? What would you do if a leopard broke out in Leigh? So, well, you'd have to do what everyone else does and fend for itself. But no, I mean, it's no secret that I'm big into South Africa. I'm big into conservation. Leopard's one of my favourite animals because it's just so damn hard to find. You know, you go out there for days and days and days and you don't come across them. I'm a big fan of the rhinos as well, but I just genuinely like leopard print as a thing. And the thing that actually started it was I just had a D&G half leopard top on, and I'd just gone applauding our crowd for how great they'd been over something. And I saw something on socials that said, wow, what's a 50-odd-year-old man doing wearing leopard print? You know, come on. I thought it was, I like a bit of banter on there, I thought it was funny. And then I just loosely said, you know, wearing leopards. I said, you know, I'd have all the players wearing leopards anyway, we could be the leopards. And then there was a bit of banter around it, and Karen at the time and Joe was like, wow, would you do that? That'd be ace, like, why don't we? And it's got the literacy around it, Leigh Leopards, you know, so that's kind of got to work, the name's got to fit. And I just think, what a, you know, as a rugby team, there's a lot, you know, your Catalan Dragons, your Warrington Wolves, we could go through them all, you know, Wakefield Wildcats, whatever. It just works better, and I think, you know, a leopard's more like what we stand for as a team as well. You know, the agility, the aggressiveness of how we can be, speed and tempo, and you know, we're hard to find out. So it just all sat tight, and I think that's proofs in the pudding as well. And the other thing I like about it is it enables people, like, you don't have to buy something that's got the Leigh logo on it to associate yourself. So, you know, a fan can go and buy something online for £1 that's leopard print, like it's a bangle, you see people with something on their hair, an headband, just anything that's got a bit of leopard print, and that's really flooding in the place now. And I think as well, being up at Magic, speaking to people, we're a lot of people's second favourite team as well, so which is also good. You know, I've brought it up with Super League that I think we should have a benefit, if you will, to all season ticket holders, where you can get into another Super League club with your season ticket that doesn't involve your club naturally, for you know, half price or something like that, to encourage people. If we're away in Catalan, for argument's sake, and let's just say Salford are playing Wigan down the road, you want to watch a game of rugby, you're not going to go over to France, you go and watch that because it's not too expensive. And I think if every club reciprocates on that, then it's a genuine offer. If they don't, then you're going to get your fans saying, oh, how come you're letting a Wigan fan in cheaper than me when I'm a Leigh fan, you know? But if it's a benefit for being a member of a club, or of a Super League club or a Championship club, then I think it's got good legs, and we're going to trial something with that for the Catalan game.
You've been quite clear from the start that the rebrand is more than just a paint job, and it was very clear. I was at the first game of the season against Salford. As soon as he arrived at the ground, there was a kind of leopard protection up on the wall of the stadium. Yeah. There was a leopard noises around the ground. Plenty of people in the leopard print gear. But the biggest change, I guess, has been when you step inside the stadium and the pre-match entertainment and the real event of it all. I guess that all comes hand in hand with the change of the name and the change of the logo and the image, to then kind of change what the club is on game day as well.
Yeah, it's about creating an event. You know, it's that particular opening night show when we had the Fuel Girls on and put, you know, it was a massive event. The operation of getting all that staging, what we made, and getting it off. You was there, you saw how quick, and the big fireworks sort of show and everything around that was fantastic. It didn't go perfect, but to everybody else it did, because they didn't know what perfect was. But it was certainly outstanding. And it was just about creating that feel for people. You know, when you go to America and stuff and you're walking into a theme park, you've got these kind of noises about creating the vibe of what you're going into and the look and the things that are around the place, and then you get in there and it builds and it builds. So we try and build the atmosphere, you know, with the entertainment. It doesn't have to be a Scouting for Girls or a Tapao, you know, it can be a tribute band, it can be a wedding band that gets the crowd going. So I think Batley are having a similar crack at it on their level in Championship, and it's working well for them. They had the Queen band on that we had on, and you know, it doesn't have to be big names. It's just creating an event. People come in earlier, they get a good vibe for it. They're spending in the stadiums, and then the tempo builds. The players are enjoying warming up in front of a big crowd instead of it being pretty empty. The volume, and then you just create the tempo using the digital screens, and everything raises to the big sound system is important, because the stadium PAs, they're more for there's a bomb, everybody get out, you know, not for music. And a good match announcer creates the environment, and then you go with the pyros and the lads are out, and you kind of revved up before the first kick, you know, and so are the players. So it's about creating an event, and there's some more big ones to come along the way yet this year.
So final question, you've got your rebrand off the ground, you've answered a lot of questions and critics on the field. What's the next step?
Winning. You know, that's ultimately what it is. It's winning something. It's always been a dream to get to Wembley. I always felt 21, 71, 2021. Obviously that didn't happen, but we have this thing in there where COVID took 2 years out of everyone's life, so in my head I'm still in 2021, so there's a chance we're 80 minutes from it. But I'm determined. I've got people in and around there that are determined. I'm fortunate enough that my wife and kids support it and buy into it, and I'm fortunate enough that I've got a business that does well enough to enable me to invest into something that I'm deeply passionate about. And the biggest reward of it all for me is seeing the effect it has on the town and the community, and you know, the fans, you know, the amount of charities that we can impact and help. We're working closely with the council on impacting the right people in the community, and it's all we've got in Leigh. You know, we don't. It's all we have. It's what puts us on the map. It's what identifies us. So it's important that I do the best I can for it. And you know, the town can't keep trying to find another me or who it was before me, Arthur Thomas and whoever before that, because it's not a way to go. So it's my opportunity now to create something sustainable, to get a youth academy under it that underpins it, and then, you know, my kids can see that all the money that's gone into it has created something that lasts and that's kind of a bit of a legacy. So that's it in a nutshell for me, what I want to get, but winning something as well. But the real deal is a sustainable club for the community that doesn't need another me.
Well, Derek, thank you for joining us. Best of luck
Cheers,
for the rest
mate.
of the season. Good
Thank
to see you. So there we have it, brilliant to lift the lid on life at the Leopards. Leigh flying high in the Betfred Super League, of course, and the Challenge Cup. They're off to the south of France this weekend. Do not forget, of course, Saturday right here on the Sportsman, live Betfred Wheelchair Super League action from Manchester, and we'll be back next Wednesday with more from The Last Tackle.